Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everyone's doing well. I see pretty much the same group of people are on as normal. A few people are still joining us. Before the tutorial started or the recording started, the people in chat have asked me to show them how to do multi-line text boxes and to display in a single method. I know that relates to Practical 8. So I will discuss that. I will show you the focus today is on polymorphism. I'm just setting up the classes. Okay, let's just check a few things. Let me ask you a few questions while I'm finishing off this. To have polymorphism, what do we need?
Inheritance.
Correct. So with our inheritance, we can do nothing. Okay, polymorphism only exists within the inheritance hierarchy or in the inheritance structure. So polymorphism, oddly enough, boils down to one single line. So it's a lot of work for one single line, but it's a very, very beneficial single line. Um, so I know it does seem quite a lot of work that we've done, and all this work we've done for essentially having a single line. But trust me, it does. The benefits do outweigh the amount of work put in. Um, can anyone think of a benefit of polymorphism? I can't see the chat right now. Let me go back. Let's code. How so? Increase repetition. Not really. Single variables can be stored in a multiple data types. Single variable is used to store multiple data types. That's not actually polymorphism either. That's the depressing part. Um, what you're referring to, Omar, is known as upcasting. Mr. van der Westhuizen is going to discuss it in depth in tomorrow's tutorial. But the ability to store single variables in a single variable multiple data types is known as upcasting. Using one class instead of derived classes in the form. No, we still need the other classes. As soon as double check something before I make a stupid mistake. Yes, okay, that's right. So I've got one more module to make quickly, and then we can start discussing. Sorry about the delay here. I want to have something you guys are familiar with to work with. Any other ideas for polymorphism? Ladies and don't worry about getting it wrong. You can also go over subroutines using MyBase. Okay, I'll do that. The MyBase. Okay, what we discussed yesterday, me, Mr. Investors, myself, was we're going to just try and keep the lectures for. Here's the last one. Where's my mathematics module gone? Okay, mathematics is the same as that one. We're going to try and keep the lectures for discussing theory. We're going to do a lot of more practical in the tutorials as we have more time. In programming terms, what would be the best way to define polymorphism? Good question. The ability to invoke multiple objects um, through a single array. I guess that would be one of the defining characteristics. Um, this was a class test. That's a class test. Yeah. So I've pretty much got all the base class, the derivatives in place. I'm just going to finish them off so we don't have any like missing parts of them, as it becomes fairly important later on as we're going forward to make sure that we've got all the nitty-gritty parts out of the way. I'll get your question now. I'm just going to finish this line. A collection of specific objects in a general container? No, that's upcasting. I'll define exactly what upcasting is in a few seconds. Polymorphism allows us to perform a single action in different ways. You define one interface and multiple implementations. Ms. Moses, you're on the right track there. Very good. Very, very good. Just an update on your semester tests. As I said yesterday, I've marked question 1 and 4 finished on Sunday evening. Mr. Nevestes is doing 2 and 3. He probably starting this morning. So you should get the results fairly soon, but it has to go through moderation, of course. So we should have them within a few days, your results. The papers we will release to you as well, so you guys can see where you did wrong. But we're only going to discuss the test in detail after the SSA, which is next week, Monday, 9 o'clock, as stated in the learning guide. Please, if anyone in the chat that needs to write the SSA, please, there's the instructions on Eve's notice board on how to apply for the SSA. If you don't apply, you don't write. Well, you can write, we just don't mark. Okay. Okay. We're no longer running on the assumption of last semester. We're returning back to fairly normal university operations that you automatically don't qualify for SSAs or supplementaries. You need to prove it. So if you had load shedding, that's fine. That we understand. Eskom is Eskom. So if you have load shedding, you just need to specify the area in which you stay so we can verify it. When is the semester test 2? That is in week 12. Don't ask me what day that is. It's on a Friday afternoon. Okay, and semester test 2 has got a lot of things. Also, I'm going to release the group project onto Eve today. You'll have roughly 4 to 5 weeks to complete it. The due date is just before the semester test, but you have quite a lot of time to do it. And there'll be a new module added onto your Eve, IFM1GP. IFM1GP is the group project module where you'll be assigned to your Pacific group inside there as well. I have to update the group assignment as 2 students had a mistake with the student numbers, so I have to correct that. But your group project will hopefully be out today or first thing tomorrow morning, where you can start looking at what you're supposed to be doing as a group. And there's a due date is about a month and a half away. So you've got quite a bit of time to work on that. Okay, now getting down to today. So polymorphism means any child class object can take any form in a class in its parent's hierarchy-based class, and of course itself as well. Correct. Does the group project count part of the 10% practical mark? Yes, it does. It counts as a practical, but you can get quite a bit of bonus from it as well, which is quite nice. The practical is only worth 110 marks, but you can get up 120 marks. So if you stuffed up in a few practicals, the group project's a nice way to boost your marks as well. You'll see when the group prac comes out. It's very similar to practical 7 in the sense that you can come up with your own idea. There's just a few amendments to the idea that you have to comply to. But let's get down to today's details. We'll announce more things as we move on. So beyond the, I'm going to focus on polymorphism. Well, how does the bonus mark contribute? Well, it'll add, we won't take away the bonus marks until it hits the 10% practical mark. So if you get like 100, you get 200% for practical, that kind of helps your prac marks. So Prac 9 and 10 also group projects. No, Prac 9 and 10 are individual projects. Only the group project is a group project. The group project is like the 11th practical. We've had to do that due to the fact that we need you to do past papers in preparation for the semester test. Okay, we need to get you prepared for the semester test too. So like Prac 10 is a past paper. And I think Prac 9 will make half a past paper. I'm still working on that part. Okay, let's get down to today's thing. We've wasted a few minutes, not wasted a few minutes, but I want to focus on polymorphism. So while we've been talking and I've been typing, I've created the UJ module. Okay, so it has the base class. It's not an abstract class. It doesn't need to be abstract. Though, let me ask a question. Do I want people making a UJ module object? Let me ask you that.
Not really.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, it doesn't really make sense to let them make an object. So, let's just make it abstract. Okay, so it's a nice abstract. Any of the methods abstract? Okay, I'll get back to your question. None of our methods are abstract. Keep that in mind. I'm making it abstract because I don't want objects of a UJ module. It doesn't make sense. There's not going to be this random course called UJ module, so we don't want to making it. How do we know when to make our base class abstract? When you don't want objects of that type. I don't want objects of UJ module. I don't want them to be. I don't want the developer making a UJ module object because it's not really a flushed out object. It's not missing anything, but it's not really anything as well. What if we don't want objects of our parent class? This is exactly what I've done. This is why I don't want objects of my parent class. Remember, UJ modules is the parent class, so I'm making it abstract. What if you do? Oh, sorry, my bad. If you do one, then you can make it normal. Sorry, you can make it normal. It's on. I just don't really want people making a UJ module object, so I'm making it abstract. If you do, you're more than welcome to leave it as a normal class. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just making it because I don't want to do it. But what if child class needs to inherit from it? Nothing's going to change. These classes inherit from it. There's no direct implementation impact on them. Okay. Remember, one thing that makes this module unique from your perspective, I guess, right now, is there is no must override functions. There's overridable, but there's not must override. Keep that in mind. Okay, now let's get down to work. Let's get down to a few things. First off, the one question before the lecture started, or the tutorial started from the group before, was asking how to use multi-line text boxes. So I'm going to set up a bit of a display here, and I'll also answer the question of how to display multiple things. I'm not going to give you the full answer, but I'll give you the base idea. So a multi-line text box is a text box. I know Mr. van der Westhuizen likes a rich text box. You're welcome to use it. I don't really mind whichever. I'm just used to using a text box. So you drag a text box on. You notice there's only 2 dots on the text box right now. We can make it longer, we can make it shorter, but that's about all we can do. Now, I know it's not visible on your screen, so I'll do it this way. If you look in your properties, there is multi-line. If you set that to true, notice the number of dots on the text box increases to 8, I think. Yeah, 8. That means we can now make it longer, wider. We can do whatever we like with the text box. One thing I would suggest is when you make multi-line text box, turn the scroll bar on for vertical. So if it does go beyond this area, you can scroll down at least. Okay, so there's a multi-line text box. Not how to use it, but how to get it. I'll do the using in a few minutes. Okay, let's do I'm going to show you something a bit more interesting today. Would you prefer me showing you something interesting or basic? Let me ask the group. Great. Basic. Okay. A lot of basic. Interesting both. Okay, I'll try to do both. Let's keep basic and then we'll do both. How about that? Okay. BDN create modules. Oh, there we go. I know how to do both in a semi-roundabout fashion, and then I can show you the more interesting approach later on. And as Mr. van der Westhuizen said in his lecture, as you notice, we always attend each other's lectures, not because we bought, actually, it's in case one of us gets load shedded, actually. So we always have someone there's always a backup. Remember, what are the point of the option statements, ladies and gentlemen? Some of you forget it. Is it to help the computer or help you as a developer? No. Got nothing to do with the computer. You as a developer, a few of you get it right. The option statements have got nothing to do with the computer. The computer's happy with them on there or not, doesn't really care. It's there to help you as a developer to make sure you don't make not stupid mistakes, but unnecessary error code. So it's not there to make the code run better or make it run faster. It's actually there to allow you to see mistakes that you shouldn't be making or code that you shouldn't be using just yet. I say just yet because maybe later on you need to use that type of coding, so you do it. Okay. None of space. Let's make this a bit bigger. Modules. Nice, neat, to the point. Okay. I haven't named my form, but you guys know how to do that. Hopefully I know on Blackboard it's very small. I'm hoping you guys can make sense of what I'm doing. Yeah, multi-line text box are called in the same way. It's just how you call them. I'll show you. There's an extra symbol or an extra method you need to call when using multi-line, else it doesn't work properly. Environment, not new line, part of it. But let's start. That doesn't really matter. So let's go private num modules as integer and private modules as UJ module. Yeah, my spelling module. Okay. Notice I'm not making object variables for a maths, informatics, or business management. I'm not making global variables for them. I don't need them right now. Okay, so I'm gonna ask them how many modules there are. Input box, please enter the number of modules, and then we read them. The modules, see my spelling's bad. Modules to num modules. Okay. Am I creating the objects for modules? Am I going and saying now for each module, go and make a new object? That's the first thing you need to see. I'm not doing that, okay? Okay, I don't want to do that because it's pointless on what we're doing, because we're doing something known as app casting now, okay? Mr. van der Westhuizen will cover the theory in more detail tomorrow. I'm going to show you the practical part today. So what we're going to do now is for m as integer equals 1 to num modules, we're going to loop. Then we're going to do a dim choice as integer, which is equal to, now this looks like a very long line, it's going to be a very long line, input box, please select the module you wish to create. Because we don't always know. What if there's two informatics modules? Because, okay, let's just do something. I know there should just be 3. But, Leisure, how many informatics modules are there in actual fact? Any idea? 7, actually. There's 7 informatics modules. You only do 6 of the 7. The 7th one's reserved for the accountants. Or the chartered accountants, sorry. Yeah, informatics 100. That's what I do as the chartered accountants. Okay. So, environment dot new line. I know this looks like a very long line, but I'll show you why I'm doing it. Bit of a pain sometimes, but remember, you only do this once or twice, so it's not the end of the world. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not always going to have just 3 objects. Mathematics. You're going to have not a random. I'm saying random. Unknown. Dynamic number of modules. But let's just run this so you can see what I've done. Actually, no. The question asked is, so since option statements help us as programmers, does it mean we will use them when we're working in the workspace? Not really. It's to help you develop your skills. It's not something you have to keep on. So I'm going to say there's 2 modules. I'm going to create a module. Look how the input box appears. Okay, that's why all the new lines and the spacing and all that is to make it a bit easier to determine what I'm selecting. Ah, there is that. I don't know if you guys were aware of it. You should be able to put it here. Now, if you do an underscore, what it means is the line continues. It's a way of saying to the computer that this line is continuing over multiple lines, so it's easy to read. It's like wrapping the text, I guess. So now everyone can see what I've done a bit easier. I don't know of another way. The only other way I've seen it is one of the students actually put spaces, like hundreds and hundreds of spaces. I'm not sure of another way to do multi-lines. No, sorry. I'll look. I'll see what I can find. Now, let me ask you a quick question before we get into the select cases. But regardless of the module I pick, what do they all have in common?
They're all informatics modules.
No,
UJ modules.
they're all UJ modules. Good. So what does that mean? Do I need to worry about asking whether I should ask for the name, the semester mark, and the semester test 2 and the exam mark? Do I need to worry about whichever module I make? Do I need to worry about asking for that? Or do all of them have to have the name, the semester mark, semester test 2 mark, and the exam mark? You guys are thinking. While you're thinking, let's change it to code. I'm also showing you, oh, this is not the interesting way, by the way. This is still the basic way. I'm showing you a way of avoiding unnecessary writing of information. Unnecessary extra work. Please enter the code for the module. st1, that's integer. Cint input box. Please enter the semester mark, semester test 1 mark for the module. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we don't want to show you the shorter ways so you guys can appreciate them. Because once you know the shortcuts, you don't really appreciate them as much. Okay, so can everyone agree that I've asked the common things for all the modules, correct? Whether it's informatics, mathematics, or business management, I'm going to ask the name, the semester test, the 1 and 2 and the exam, correct? Regardless of which module I make, I'm going to ask that. So what I've done is instead of having to do it 3 times, I've done it once. And then what I do is I go and create a, one is informatics, so IFM as in informatics module, IFM equals new informatics. Hey, come on, give me in for. Why is that giving me a don't like you approach? Okay, there we go. Spelling, thank you. So now I got IFM code equals code. IFM ST2 equals ST1. Now these are giving me errors. Why? Is not a member of informatics. That's not right. That's not right at all. Oh, damn. Public. That would help. Public, 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 public. That definitely would help. Why you? Semester, oh. That would make more sense. IFM semester mark 2 equals ST2. That's a long question. I've noticed when it comes to our practicals we're given every week, we put in a maze and run around searching for answers ourselves. Later, we are shown easy approaches to tackle them. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. We don't want you guys to become dependent on us to give the answer. We want you guys to think and think out the box occasionally. Okay? So sometimes we will send you on a wild goose chase for knowing very well there's a very short and easy way to do it. But we want you to think. Programmers, what is the defining quality of a programmer? Let me ask you that. What do you think is a defining quality of a programmer? Geek, okay, yeah, that's a good one. Problem solving, adaptation, problem solving, correct, correct.
Able to understand problems clearly.
Okay, okay, I agree, creating understanding, ability to understand problems clearly, overcome and improve, adapt, leisure, creativity. Creativity is a defining quality in IT as well. I agree, everything you've listed and said are defining qualities, but something else about an IT person is creativity. The ability to think outside the box, the ability to look at things in a different way. What about maths? Maths is maths. I have no love for maths. Maths is useful. Patience is important as well, yes.
Yeah, me too.
What did you say, sir? Maths sucks. Maths has got its place. Don't get me wrong, maths has got its place. We wouldn't be where we are without maths. IT is built on maths. The logic from maths is exceptionally important. We wouldn't be where we are without the maths. So don't dismiss that much. It is hard, it's a pain in the butt, but Not the end of the world. It also depends on the lecturer giving the maths. I had a very good maths lecturer. He made maths quite fun, actually. If the linear algebra, I think it's linear. Yeah, if the linear algebra lecturer is still there from my time, linear algebra is a blast. It's actually quite fun. Okay, so what I've quickly done is I've made a thing to set up the number of practicals, because there's no way to set up practicals in this damn thing. In pracs integer equals input box. Maths has got its place. I wouldn't be able to solve a lot of the things I did in AI without maths formulas, maths calculations, but it's just knowing its place. It's got its place, but I think the way they do maths at UJ, sometimes they forget certain aspects, or they forget who they're teaching. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. That's just a personal perspective. How's AI? The AI is fun, except when your AI goes on its own mission. Unfortunately, some lecturers make maths boring. I know. No, I don't make Terminator. My focus for the last couple of years has been AI in games. So they don't get a chance to come out and shoot people yet. Okay, so let me just explain what I've done while I've been talking crap. I went to the informatics module. I made up a subroutine to set the size of the array because that wasn't in place. So I needed something to set the size of the array. I could have used a constructor, yes. That's also acceptable. I would need to validate, but I don't want to spend too much time on the classes. I want to get to the more important thing. And you notice there's a lot of build up to the polymorphism because I haven't even got there yet. But I'm trying to show you the full basics of how to get to the polymorphism. Because you can't just go, I'm straight to polymorphism. You've got to build up your objects. You've got to set up all the information in your objects. You've got to work with the objects. Because once you go into once you upcast, you start to lose things. I'll show you what I mean now. Practicals. Key, C, and let's just do a copy paste. Please enter practical mark please enter. My computer's going better. Please enter mark for practical So Python is dominating AI. I don't actually know. I don't develop in Python. I developed in C#. No, I'll upload the code. I'll upload it after Mr. Van der Westhuizen's lecture tonight, because he might be doing the same thing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you agree that we've done everything? We've got all the information for a informatics module. The code, the semester marks, the exam marks, the practical mark. All the marks are there, correct? All the information that makes up a informatics object has been obtained, correct? Yes, okay. Now, problem is, as soon as the subroutine ends, this button ends, that object disappears. Because remember, it's not a global variable, it's a local variable. So we need to store it. So we got a module. We got a module M. and we say it's equal to the IFM. Okay, and this one line is upcasting. Van der Westhuizen will discuss the theory of upcasting in tomorrow's lecture, but that single line I've done there is known as upcasting. Okay. The only reason it works, only reason upcasting works is informatics is a UJ module. There is a relationship, has to be there. Oh, thank you very much. Now code is changed. Why is code not changed? Code, I've asked for code there. Line 23. Code is code, yeah. Remember, I've got code, semester test 2, an exam here. So I'm just passing the information here into code, semester mark, semester test 2, and exam mark. So I do change the code. It's equal to whatever I've done here. And remember, this is inside a for loop. So for each object I make, it asks these 4 questions again. So for each object I make, I'll ask these questions again. So when I press the button again, it asks again for code. I'll show you in a few seconds. But is everyone okay with that line? This is a key line. Okay, this is what enables polymorphism. So in line 32, you basically stored it and reserved the memory. The array of parent full of children. Is the array of parent full of children? Yes. What happens if the user chooses more than the same module twice? Then we have 2 informatics modules in the array. What does the line do? The line takes the UJ module, the array, and at that location, it stores the object IFM. So we redirect the pointer. So let me try and explain this. I don't want to spend too much time on upcasting because I know Mr. Van der Westhuizen is going to do the theory with you guys. But essentially what happens is, hopefully you can see the whiteboard. We have an array. No. Damn you. Wish they had like a half a clear. So we have an our array, and we've created spaces, correct? They're all reserved for UJ modules. Everyone okay with that? Okay. Now what we've done is we've gone and made a IFM module. So this is an IFM object. And it's also the way I created a local variable, so it doesn't exist. So we have a variable called IFM, and it points to the IFM object. Now, when we upcast, we do this. It's one on our slide. We upcast and we say that this object is here. So we essentially remove this pointer. Now the pointer is now linked to the position in the array. So the information of that object is now stored in the array. That's upcasting. So I could have another module, say a maths module. No, I don't want to. I want a square. So I want a maths module. Then I'll link the maths module, upcast it to here. Then I create another object. and I'll link it to here. What is the purpose of upcasting? Okay, if we did an upcast, how would we store all information? Many arrays. Would you want to work with 40 or 50 arrays? I'm hoping that's a no. Yeah, okay, good. So, sir, can we have another informatics object in another position in the array? Yes, you can. That's the point of having an array. We can have as many objects as we want in the array. Okay, and this will be repeated for the other code. So here I would go and create a bizman as business management. Bizman equals new business management. And the benefit of what I've done earlier is this. I don't need to go and redo input boxes. I just use the ones I've got. I don't need to go and redo them because I have them. All I need to do is the ones that I don't have. Now, for business management, we have an assignment. So we've got to go and say bizman.assignment, and that equals an input box. Please enter the mark for the assignment. And again, we upcast. Store the information. Bizman. What about the slicing error in line 32? There's no slicing error. That is upcasting. So what if they input 5, then you want them to input 5 modules, yeah? This is not the best example for multiple objects, but what I'm trying to show you is this is how it would work in the future. Read that again. So what if the user inputs 5 UJ modules when they want them to enter the number of modules? What happens then? What happens then is the simple fact that we're going to then get them to give us 5 UJ objects, UJ modules. So they can give us 1 informatics, 2 business management, 1 mathematics, and another informatics. It doesn't really matter. They can give us 5 different objects.
No, so I don't think you're getting the question quite correctly. What he's saying is that we have between 3 options. What if
if they enter 5
choose
is for
the fourth
an option
and it's not there? What's gonna
okay,
happen?
I'll show you how to handle that. Okay. Then I got a question of next P. Next P is not always needed. It's just a easy way to, or a nice way to show code. Again, this is upcasting. Okay, everyone okay with that? Okay, now I'm going to create the last one. I'm doing them all so you can see that I'm physically making them all. It's not like I'm half-assing the work. And the one you all hate, currently hate. I know math always has a bad reputation. Math. Okay, let me ask a quick question. Why is math underlined in green? Maths is a reserved word, correct? Okay. So we don't ever say math. So I'm going to say OBJ maths equals new mathematics. Okay. And I'm going to do a copy paste. I know this is not what you should be doing, and stuff that you guys do it anyway. Just copy and paste, you tend to make mistakes, so be careful of that. I'll come back to that question now, because that is actually quite interesting. But my screen's just gone black for you guys. I mean that quite literally. Okay, there we go. So if we have different maths modules, would it make maths OBJ an array? No. No. If we have different maths modules, we don't make an array because we have an array for modules. So we handle that by having an array of modules. So if you have more than one mathematics module, it's handled inside the modules array. What did Prof. Long say is bad practice? Copy and paste. Nah.
Yep.
I'm not Prof. Long. And now you guys should realize that. I agree with her. When you're first starting to program, copy and pasting is bad. But by now you know how to you're gonna copy and paste whether we say it's bad or not. Copy and pasting, as long as you change it correctly, yeah, it's fine. But there's always a but. No, Legend, what we're trying to emphasize, beginning of the year, when you're first learning to program, it's important to understand what you're doing. So copying and pasting, not a good idea. But now you know how to program. So we assume that you know how to correct your copy and pastes. And copy and paste is not bad practice, it's just lazy practice, which is partly IT as well, so I am that either. Okay, have I got any polymorphism, ladies and gentlemen? I've done all this lovely work. We've talked for going good on 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Have I got a single line of polymorphism? Nope. Good. Don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely happy to hear that, because we don't have a single line of polymorphism. Okay, and it's important to understand that. We have not used polymorphism yet. We've done all this work. I've made all the different objects. We've instantiated each object. We've upcasted each object. We've got this an array of many objects, but we haven't got polymorphism. Okay, and it's important to understand that we don't have polymorphism. Okay, we now are going to start looking at polymorphism. Value of M is the asking the question how many modules there are. So this entire section I've done here is a for loop. This is all inside a for loop. So for each module, we loop through this entire section, ask what module we're making, make the object upcast it. Ask what object, upcast, object, upcast, object, upcast. A module, upcast, module, upcast. Now I'm going to do a bit of polymorphism. Now, with the, I never named the text box, did I? No, I didn't. TXT display. Simple. TXT display.text. Now, I'm going to first show you what's wrong and then I'll correct it. Semester mark. This is going to be painful. Then we're going to say module m dot semester mark. Calculate SM. Environment. New line. I'll look at your chat now. I'm working on two different screens, so I'm typing on one and you guys, I'm broadcasting on the other one. So what, I don't think so. We're getting to the value of M. What is the difference between upcasting and downcasting? I'll try to show you. Do we have a specific word that shows polymorphism? No. So could you have a case? Yeah, we can do that. T, small t, is it correct? Oh, have you, case else. Have you ever heard of a term called case sensitivity? Case sensitive. MSG box. Okay. Some of you have heard it. Some of you, I don't think so. Upper, lower. Yeah, okay. But from a computer's perspective, let's look at something. Because this might help get you guys to understand something else as well. Text. Are these all the same words? From an English perspective, yes, you are correct. From a computer's perspective, are they the same things? Okay. Good. So you guys understand that the computer will see that as differently, as different terms. Now, VB is a non-case sensitive language. So it sees everything spelled the same, emphasis on spelled the same, as the same variable. Other languages are case sensitive. So you could have a variable Bob and a variable Bob, and these are two different variables in the program language because it's case sensitive. C# is a case sensitive language. So these are two different variables. VB isn't case sensitive. That's what automatically pushes things up to uppercase and lowercase based on your spelling. VB is spelling sensitive. Invalid. Question. While we're on this invalid thing and you guys are adamant on the invalid, does this solve the problem? Does this fix the problem? Aha, aha, good, good. Someone being thinking out of the box, or thinking. The M-1 is a genius approach. Fantastic idea. Thank you for giving that. What does that do now? Let's ask the chat. Think about what is happening. We go into the for loop of M. We enter incorrect value. It says invalid choice, it minuses 1 and goes back to the for loop. What happens to the value of M? It decreases by 1. So it takes away the choice you just made. So if I say they should, it's giving us a retry. Excellent. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. You guys are on point today. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. It gives us the option to retry. So if I'm on position 4, I make a mistake, it goes back to position 4 and asks again. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out something now. What have I highlighted? And what is so special about what I've highlighted? Getting back to the main topic of the day. The base class method, correct. What is so special about it, though? It's going to call the semester mark for each object, correct. Polymorphism, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, for all the coding I've done in this entire lecture, that is the only line of polymorphism in the entire project. That is polymorphism. Though it seems simple, yes, thank you. It's calculated differently depending on the object. Each module has a different semester mark. So every time we calculate semester mark, it depends on the object. It will then look at its own thing and say, okay, I calculate my semester mark like this. You calculate your semester mark like that. Do that calculation. So depending on the object in the array, it calculates the semester mark differently, and hence we have polymorphism. I know it doesn't seem like much. I know it seems a lot of work for one single line, but this has got huge benefits when dealing with thousands of objects. Okay. Right now there's 41 or 40 students online. Okay. Which is easier? Me individually going to each of you and saying, study your semester for your semester test, or do your practical, or simply doing an announcement saying, everyone do the practical? Announcements, yeah. Also less intimidating. Okay. So what that allows us to do is we can call functionality, and do all of you do this, the practicals the same way? Some of you may start the design first. Very rare, very few of you, and those I appreciate. Some of you do the designs afterwards. Some of you start the program first. Some of you start with the objects first. Some of you start with the form first. Does it matter how you do your assignment or not? No. Okay, it doesn't matter. As long as you do your assignment, I'm happy. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if you did your design first or last. But I have a design. I have a code. Polymorphism allows us to work with multiple objects as the same thing, and allows them to work independently in the sense that if they have a different way of calculating, they calculate differently. Polymorphism has huge benefits when doing large-scale projects. Okay, it allows us to quite literally invoke all okay. You don't show it in UML. Polymorphism doesn't exist in UML. There is no keyword for polymorphism. There is no symbol for polymorphism. The way you show polymorphism in UML is you have a method existing in the base class and in the child class. So what if the user inputs 5 UJ modules when you want them to enter number of modules? What happens then? Don't forget to go through this line. No. He's talking about number of modules. If I say there's 5 modules, I'm going to enter 5 objects. Okay, so let's run the program. And I'll, broken. End statement expected. That is a next that wasn't supposed to be there. So set modules, I'm going to set modules to 4. So now okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the sake of saving my sanity and saving time, I'm not going to pick informatics because that means I've got to do practicals. So mathematics, Matt, a semester test, 50, 50, assignment, exam, 60, 70, then I'm going to do business management, code, biz, I have no idea what they call the subjects nowadays, biz 1A, semester mark, 60, 75, marks I would love to get occasionally, 90, ooh. Class test, 20, I think that's wrong. I think I made a mistake between mathematics and business management. I'll correct that. Then let's go for mathematics again. I've Math 1B, semester mark 60, 40, exam mark. Everyone would love to get in an exam. 100, assignment 50, business management again. Biz 1B, semester mark 60, 45, 40, exam 60, class test 50. Hey, why am I only displaying one semester mark, by the way? I'll put it to PDF and upload it, yeah. I'll make sure I do it this time. I know I've promised before and keep forgetting. Why is it only displaying one? And I know it's difficult to see on your screen as I'm also looking at what you guys are seeing. It's only displaying one. Why? Anyone want to have a guess? Let's have a look at the code and let you guys have a look at why. This is to answer the multi-line text box issue. Aha. No, we don't need the environment. We have environment at new line. Append. So there's 2 options. There's append, and you put it in brackets. Okay. Why is it not liking this? Okay, it doesn't seem to enjoy this idea.
Program is still running, sir.
Ah, thank you very much. Okay, so I can append. That's the one option. Option 2, dot text, Ah, damn you. Nah, text. Antizan equals. Plus equals, ladies and gentlemen. Now what is happening before, it is saying text box equals this, text box equals this. It didn't keep what is before. The append and the antizan equals says take what was there already and add again. So this then adds on. Now I'm only going to do 2 modules because I don't want to spend too much time just entering information. And before I make that mistake again, mathematics is business management is actually not going to change it here. This is 3. This is 2. That's just getting some weird ass values. Let's just go for 2 quickly. Again, I'm going to stick away from informatics because that just requires too much input right now. Let's just add biz 1A, 50, 50, 60, 60, mathematics, mat 1A, semester mark, what we all hope to get, just to make life easy, 90. Now we have 2, because we've appended. Okay, does that help with the multi-line text box? Okay, cool. Okay, so what we do is we just add. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you notice something about the input boxes. They were kind of annoying. They didn't really tell us which. How do we know which one's which? Good question. Good question. How do we know which one's which? I will show you a cheat. Let me see if I can remember it. Now, within these methods that exist, something known as get type. Yes. You really want to go that route? Fine. Okay. Every object has a get type. Okay, this is still not that interesting way to work with the arrays. I'll show you still the interesting way. This is a get type command. So let's do this again and you'll see what it does. Yes. Someone's mic's on, I don't know who. I made this in math, so mat 1A, 50, 50, 50, 50. Bizman, that'll be biz. We could do code. Yes, that is true. That's also another thing I didn't think of, but I want to show you what the get type does anyway, because you're going to need to use it later on. Or you kind of use it later on. So the get type actually goes and pulls, it's in tutorial 1 mathematics module. So it tells me exactly which is. The get type will actually pull the type of the object, but their suggestion from chat is actually better code. Okay, so that'll give me the code and output. How many pixels does the height of a line in text box have? I have no idea. I honestly don't know. Okay. But ladies and gentlemen, I just need to make sure before we move on that everyone understands that this one little line is that little thing I'm highlighting right now is polymorphism. As long as you understand that that's polymorphism, then you've accomplished quite a lot. It works because it's a method used by all the values in the array correct, but it also changes. Remember that. Is the semester mark calculation the same for all the objects? Okay. And that's why it's polymorphism, because it changes depending on the object. Remember, an object remembers what it is. So it allows us to work with multiple objects and not really be concerned with what the objects are. You can use the polymorphism for multiple functions, yes. Okay, the example I was going to give earlier, I've mentioned this a few times in class. I like to brag about it, that my research is in games. And one of the biggest things that is useful in with games is, remember, in each game, you've got to draw all the attribute, all the assets, the trees, the grass, the terrain, the character, all of that's got to be drawn. Now, would it make sense for me to go to each asset or each object and say draw itself? And think of any game you may play, from Candy Crush to any mobile game. Think of how many little pictures there are, how many icons there are. Would you want to go to each one and say draw or render, the correct term? So a lot of lines of code. So all assets in games are connected to a method called render. So all you do is you say, for all assets in game, render. So you're using polymorphism to render all the whole environment. And that's why it's useful, because it allows us to apply to many different environments the approach of polymorphism. It allows us to invoke a common method, being a function or subroutine, amongst thousands of objects without having to worry. Okay, just going back to the questions. Remember, to go down in my text box, I'm using environment.newline, so I write going downwards, not next to each other. Also becomes difficult to read. Can you please show polymorphism code line? That's the polymorphism line. The session should end soon. It's normally an hour and a half, so I have about 20 minutes left, I think, or 15 minutes left. Okay, what is the main function of polymorphism in general programming? Exactly what we've done. It allows us to treat thousands of objects in the same way by invoking a common method. Yes, if I said there were 6 modules, I would have to enter 6 different modules, yes. This way I've programmed allows me to enter as many modules as I determine. That we'll discuss on Wednesday. Wednesday morning's lecture, we'll discuss how to count the different types. Okay. So that's just invoking polymorphism. It's invoking and it is polymorphism. Wednesday, we will show you how to count. I know that's a question of Practical 8. It's to do with downcasting. something I haven't shown you today. I want to show you the interesting way I was talking about. What if we didn't have this? Well, how did the program work? Correct. Preserve. And this oddly is the more interesting way I was going to show you guys. I don't ever want to show you guys ways that become too complex. Actually, num mods. You guys can discover the more complicated ways later on. But oddly enough, programming, sometimes the simplest solution is the best. You're surprised how often the simplest solution is the answer to most things. I've just done. What I've done now is I've made a truly dynamic array. Every time I press the button, the number of modules increases by 1. I read and preserve the array to the new size, so I keep the information. I then enter all the information. I then display the information. I press the module again, it does it again. No. M is not declared. So that M variable disappears. I don't set the number of modules. I go and create. I'm going to go I'll go mathematics. Mat 1A. 50, 50, 50. Business management is 1A. 60, 60, 60. Assignment 10. Mathematics. Mat 1B. Ah, crap. That was supposed to be a semester mark. Mr. van der Westhuizen will teach you how to handle those later on as well. That's going to come up. Okay. I kind of get tired of the thousands of for loops, so that's why I tend to, when I program, I kind of do this myself. Because I honestly get tired of having to go 50 times or 6 times. It gets very frustrating. This way we can handle each one independently, and we just keep going. But ladies and gentlemen, it's something you were taught already, which is quite interesting. You just never thought to apply it this way. Okay. We still got a few minutes. Legend, what is the one problem with upcasting? Yes, but it was useless in 1A. Okay, I give you that. What's the problem with one? What is the problem once we upcast? While we have the time. Any ideas? Now, this is very important to understand. Okay, some of you are still like wondering what the hell does he mean by that. When I upcast, now you can treat objects as individuals. You can still treat objects as individuals. There's another problem. It's a more specific problem. The object. So if I create a maths object and I upcast it, the object knows it's maths. Aha! Someone's got it. Good, 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 good. When I create a maths object, the object knows it's maths. Okay. I upcast it, the object still knows it's a maths object. As you saw, it still gave me the code. So it said math 1A, 1B. But does the computer remember that object at location 3 is maths? Does the computer remember that object 1 is maths and object 2 is business management? Guess, people, guess. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is the computer forgets. So once you upcast, I no longer have access to practicals, class tests, or assignments. Those methods are hidden away from us because we upcasted. Okay. So once we upcast, the computer forgets what the object is and doesn't let you access the additional attributes or methods. So right now, I can't access set the size of array. I can't access practicals. I can't access assignments, and I can't access class tests. Question is, how do I access them again? How do I gain access to those functionality, those functions or methods or attributes again? Downcasting, correct. Okay. Now, Mr. van der Westhuizen will discuss downcasting with you guys in Wednesday's lecture, and then we'll discuss it more in Thursday's tutorial. Okay, I'm not going to go through downcasting because we don't have enough time. This will be uploaded shortly. I do apologize for not uploading last week Thursday's TUT. Things got a bit crazy on Thursday with the semester test. So I will upload last week's TUT and the lectures now before I have my next meeting. But downcasting will be discussed tomorrow in tomorrow's lecture and then in the tutorial again. But to gain access to anything again inside an array, we downcast. And that's where the counting can be done. If you're wondering for practical 8, you need to know how to downcast. The last 2 points of practical 8 require downcasting, which will be discussed tomorrow. So don't stress too much about that. Just get your work up to this point done, and then we can worry about the rest. Okay, I've got about 5 more minutes. I see some people are already disconnecting, which is fine. I'm going to stop the recording shortly. Are there any specific questions on what we discussed today? And I will make this code that I've done available after tonight's tutorial that Mr. van der Westhuizen is going to give. I'm not sure if he's going to cover similar work. So I don't want to... A weird type of personify a computer. Not really. We kind of we personify our computers, the programming of a computer. The reason for that is a lot of programming ideas and principles are based on biological or human approaches. Think of inheritance. Inheritance is a biological thing. There's a field in artificial intelligence called immune intelligence, which is based on how the immune system works, which is biological. There's lots of engineering and concepts that are based on biological approaches as well, or biological theories. So a lot of it is still based on biological aspects. Whether we want to accept it or not is a person's choice. But a lot of the way we think and code is human-based. Remember, a program is only as good as a person that created it. Then the discovery of atoms will be revolutionary. Yeah, I guess so. But I just want to make sure, are you guys okay with upcasting and polymorphism? Polymorphism normally takes a while for you guys to fully understand it, but I saw you guys okay with the idea. Okay, so far. But again, it only will make sense once you start programming it yourself. Also, if you try explaining it to someone else, it makes a lot more sense. That's how I learned a lot of my coding, is when I had to be when I was a tutor. Or not had to be, when I was a tutor. I learned a lot better ways of programming by having to explain it to other people. I've refined my programming skills that way. Okay. Any other questions? Again, if you've got to write the SSA for semester test 1, please apply. The details are on Eve and how to apply. If load shedding is a valid excuse, we accept it. Eskom is Eskom. We cannot control that. When is semester test 2? Semester test 2 is in week 12. We'll put up the date on Eve. It's in the learning guide. So did you do informatics and comp sci in your IT degree? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am an oddity in the department as well. I'm both extended and mainstream. I did the course before the extended degree existed. It was known as the bridging. It was referred to as SET, or a bridging program, that later became the extended degree. I did that. Then I did the mainstream IT, and then I moved on to honors, masters, and PhD for academic reasons. Not when you had to be a tutor. Later on, I chose to be a tutor. I was actually a tutor in my 3rd year. Then I was a tutor in my honors, and I became a lecturer in my masters. Okay, but yeah, I'm an oddity because I've done both extended and mainstream. That's why I understand what extended degree students are doing in terms of. I'm finishing off my PhD, yeah. Is it worth doing your master's and PhD? That's a discussion for another day. Masters you can do if you want to go into a research field. I'm not a professor. Professor is another title. Masters is useful if you want to go into a research field. PhD is an academic thing for IT. If you want to be an academic an academic in general, you have to have a PhD. So that's why the PhD came into play. What are the requirements to be a tutor? Not much. You apply. Unfortunately, we work down in seniority, so the first people that get appointed are master students, if there's any master students that year. Then we look at the honor students, we appoint the honor students. Then we look at the 3rd year students and we appoint 3rd year students. So unfortunately, it's very rare that a student is appointed in their 2nd year because there's so many. We get like 170 applications a year for tutors. So it's very rarely that, unfortunately, we know 2nd years are appointed. What do you have to do to become called a professor? You have to apply for a promotion to become a professor. You have to have done enough research, and help people and actually supervise people doing masters and PhDs as well. So it's more of it's a title given to you by the university based on the amount of research you've done and the quality of the research you've done. It's not a degree or something you can study to become a professor. It's your ability as a researcher that makes you a professor. Okay, that's the time up. I'm going to stop recording. I'll still be online for a few minutes, but I have other meetings to attend to. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, ask them. You're welcome to.